we have video. All right, hi everybody, and happy Veterans Day. It is November 11th, 2020, 11 a.m. So happy Veterans Day to all of you veterans out there. I'm a veteran. I did mainly personnel for 8 years. It's kind of interesting how I even ended up as an officer in the Army, but that's a story for another day. And I did 4 years active duty, 2 years in Fort Hood, Texas, 2 years in Fort Ord, Fort Hunter Liggett, California, and then 4 years in the Connecticut Army National Guard. I was a personnel officer. I was never deployed, and I did not see combat, but I served my country proudly. And it was a good experience in leadership, in patriotism, learning a lot of new skills, and just making contributions. And I know that many people out there make a lot of contributions. We have many former military who suffer from PTSD. Suicide rate can be up high. You have soldiers serving enlisted for a couple of years, coming back with very low wages, almost having to be on a form of welfare. We have families that are separated due to service. So it's really a hardship in a lot of ways. So congratulations to all of those who are currently serving or those who have served. I wanted to read a couple of letters, a letter that I wrote and a response back in 1990. I've been cleaning the house. We were reorganizing different living situations. We have a daughter moving in, a daughter will be moving out. So gave me an opportunity to rifle through some boxes, and I found a jewel of a letter. In 1990, I was in the Connecticut Army National Guard, and I was serving as I think an adjutant or an S1 personnel-related field. And I was given the opportunity to go to Patrick Air Force Base for 2 weeks. And isn't this nice, living in New York and being in the Connecticut National Guard? And so, of course, in January, February, March, I jumped at the opportunity to attend a 2-week school course in Melbourne, Florida, right on Cocoa Beach. So it was a really nice course. It was called the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute. And at this course, you're learning about equal opportunity, race relations, male-female relations, professionalism within the military. So that was basically the content of the course. And at one point, I noticed that there was a lot of pornography for sale at the Army Airforce Exchange system or store. And so they had Playboy magazines out. They had Penthouse might have had, and again, this is 30 years ago, 1990. The Penthouse might have had the title peeking out with a brown paper bag, covering the front cover photo. There were many postcards and many suggestive postcards and whatnot. Now, many of you will say, well, to each his own. Okay, fine. But I, as a feminist, professional, female officer, kind of felt a little funny that the military was trying to teach us professionalism amongst people, and here they had pornography for easy access. Now, of course, I'm often the lone voice. The culture just accepts this and doesn't think it's a big deal. So anyways, I posted the letter and people couldn't read it, so I just go ahead and read it. So this would have been 1990. I would have been about 28 years old. I was a captain, an 03 in the Army. So I just decided to write the commander of the DEOMI, the DEOMI course. So I won't say his name. Dear Colonel XYZ, I am writing this letter to you in response to what I see as an incongruency between the purpose of DEOMI and the sale of certain items at AAFES facilities on base. We are being taught at DEOMI about stereotypes, sexism, and contributing factors to values. The shopette at Patrick Air Force Base sells Playboy and Penthouse magazines and 4 postcards with men and women dressed in bathing suits which draw attention to bodies' physiques. Building 400, the living quarters for many DEOMI students, also sells postcards with suggestive poses and captions. I understand that AAFES is separate from DEOMI and that you or the post commander may not have the power to decide what material can be sold at AAFES. However, AAFES serves Army and Air Force personnel throughout the world, and how can the military achieve its ultimate goals taught at DEOMI when we have such incongruity? The only reason why AAFES should sell this material is to provide choice and variety and profit to AAFES. But there are far more negative consequences. This material contributes towards distorting an individual's perception and perpetuates myths and beliefs that a person's primary purpose is one of a physical nature. Many people would disagree with me and say that freedom of choice is what makes America what it is today. Well, the magazines and postcards are degrading, and how can attitudes and beliefs about men and women change in the military if the opportunity for stereotypes are prevalent within AAFES, a major force in the Department of Defense? I thought about attaching an example of a postcard to this letter, but I'm glad I didn't. The sale would just be contributing to the profit and perceived need to sell this material. If we must sell this material, why are there only white males and females photographed? Blacks, Asians, and other groups should be represented, especially since the military is represented by these groups. How can we teach our new Army and Air Force personnel about the EO, or Equal Opportunity Program, when we allow and encourage these distractors? It seems very incongruent to me. Thank you for taking the time to read my concerns. I would be overjoyed to see Patrick Air Force Base, quote, clean up its act, quote, in this area. That's pretty brazen. Signed, L.M. Griesmer, Captain, CTARNG. All right, and the next day I was delivered his response by my bosses, who were a little higher ranking than me, and they read the letters and they were kind of surprised at his response. They kind of agreed with me. Okay, memorandum for Captain L.M. Griesmer, subject sale of publications at AAFES. In taking your oath of office as an Army officer, you swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. Freedom of speech is one of the guarantees of the Constitution, and the courts have ruled that those publications which you cited in your letter, Playboy and Penthouse, are expressions of that guarantee. This rationale applies to the picture postcard issue as well. Your comments imply that you are not absorbing the instruction as we hoped you would. The issue of concern is one of behavioral manifestation. That, of course, is what we are preparing you to deal with. Signed, Colonel, I won't say his name. So I took that like as a big slap, like, okay, I disagreed with it, but I understand that, in our culture, the First Amendment right is a blanket for many things. And I felt there's a judgment involved in First Amendment rights. So anyways, I just shut up and went my merry way. And 8 years later, the Supreme Court, High Court decision, major victory for decency advocates. So they no longer sold pornography, 8 years later. So that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to share those letters. I mean, this would make for a great conversation on, was the colonel right? Was I being obnoxious? And was I not upholding our Constitution, our freedom of expression, our freedom to look at whatever material that we want? And so, some people might label me conservative and fuddy-duddy and, just mind your own business. We can do whatever we want. It's not harming anyone. And so those are some good conversations to have, but I don't have anyone to have the conversation with. So I think I'll end this and say thank you. And, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Was I out of line? Do you think having pornography for sale right out there in the open is a good thing for the community? Is it a right? Is it something that, do you equate that to like alcohol or cigarettes, having to be a certain age to engage in these things? Anyways, have a great day and happy Veterans Day, especially to those of you who served in a major way, who made it a career. I did not make it a career. It was not for me. I think you can tell by my letter. I didn't really fit in well with the military. I did it for a few years and it just wasn't for me, but I really applaud those who make the sacrifice. So, all right, everybody, have a great day. Bye.